Welcome to The Foundry, where leaders are forged daily. Each week we investigate themes of leadership, entrepreneurship, and mindset with some of the greatest minds in real estate. And now, the data scientist of real estate, George Roberts.
All right, welcome back, entrepreneurs. So here for the second segment of my episode, Vision for the Future, What's Next for the Self-Storage Industry. I've got Jacob Vanderslice. He's a co-founder and principal at VanWest Partners, Denver-based real estate investment company specializing in the acquisition, development, and management of self-storage facilities. Would really encourage you to watch or listen to the first half, where we did a lot of talking about how the self-storage industry is different than various other asset classes, including we contrasted particularly with mobile home parks. And in the second half of the episode, we're going to talk about the importance of in-house management. And we'll continue to talk about the vision for the future. We're going to talk more about technology. And if you're a passive investor, you love this because we're going to talk about some very important questions about partnering with sponsors. So with that, hey, welcome back, Jacob. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, George. Thanks for having us.
All right, great. It's great to have you here. Yeah, and asking sponsors how they overcome, tell us about a difficult deal. How'd you overcome the hurdles? Sometimes I feel like that makes it a little easier for them to answer. Everybody likes to be the hero. But to, if someone says I've been doing real estate for 15 years and I never had a difficult deal, well, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I certainly don't either. Another question you should ask too is, tell me how I lose all my money. Give me a scenario where my equity is completely wiped. What needs to happen, whether it's a debt maturity problem, cap rate expansion, underperforming revenue or NOI growth. Give me the scenario where my money goes away. And I think understanding that's really important. And that's the extreme downside, right? Your risk generally, depending on the type of deal you're investing in, your risk is your invested capital. It's like buying a stock. If you buy Amazon today, it's probably not going to go to zero, but you have no guarantees whether it's going to go down by half or up by 50%. Yeah. So understanding what needs to happen for you to see a loss, I think, is also important too.
Yeah, huge and very well put. I mean, I usually get at that from different angles, but what a way to get it out all at once. Good. Wow. Yeah, just a lot of value there. So then I think we did a lot of contrasting with other asset classes within real estate, but self-storage itself is really broad, right? I mean, you got drive up, you've got climate controlled for people that may have antiques. Or maybe climate controlled plus trickle charging capability if you got classic cars, et cetera. I mean, I could go on, but maybe you could mention a few of the types of self-storage that you're in and tell us, why does that make sense to you as an operator?
Yeah, you've really got three deal types. One deal type is your multi-story climate controlled elevator access storage facility. Another deal type is single-story drive-up storage facilities, and those could be a mix of climate and non-climate controlled buildings. And then finally, you have your traditional drive-up, non-climate controlled storage facilities. And we have all three. And it kind of depends on the market, what we're doing. Some markets will command more of a premium for climate control versus non-climate controlled, others won't. But the biggest, difference of those three, I would say, is of course the multi-story elevator access facilities. You got to be really careful when you're doing deals like that. First of all, they're more expensive to operate because they got an elevator. They probably have fire suppression, just inherently more expensive of a building to run. And depending on the submarket, if you're a storage customer and you've got the option to ride an elevator or not ride an elevator, you're going to choose the latter, right? You got to get on an elevator with a cart. You got to push your cart down a hallway. You got to load and unload and kind of rinse and repeat. Whereas most people want to just drive up to a unit with their pickup truck, load and unload, close the garage door, and drive out. So these multi-story climate control deals really can only be done in markets that are very undersupplied and submarkets that have a good story for lack of new supply coming online. We've seen deals before that we've underwritten where the ground floor units are getting great rents and they almost can't give away a unit on the second story and up because of that elevator ride. So you got to kind of consider the market that you're investing in and operating in before you kind of decide, what type of deal you want to do there. But those are the three types we do, and definitely more heavily slanted on the single story climate, non-climate controlled type deals versus the multi-story climate controlled.
Yeah, excellent. Love the breakdown. Now, you also mentioned being very customer focused earlier, and the management, it never really goes away. So tell us about what drove your decision to do in-house management. How's that been valuable to your business?
Well, I'll answer that, but briefly, if you think about it, if you're a storage customer, no matter what your circumstances are for storing, maybe you just got a huge raise and you're building a giant palace somewhere and you need to store your stuff somewhere. Well, you got to wait for your house to get built, or maybe you just lost your job and you're unfortunately going down to a smaller apartment building versus or apartment unit versus a single family home. Regardless of what your circumstances are, you do not want to be at that storage facility, right? You just don't want to be there. It's never a happy time to go to your storage unit. It's not like going to Starbucks in the morning and it smells good, the music's playing, you're getting your coffee on the way to the office. You don't want to go to your storage unit. So
So is
having,
that an idea for the future? Maybe you should make it smell good and place some music there,
there you go. Yeah, we can add that to the list of ancillary
but
income.
only in the finest markets.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, $6 cup of coffee, and you could buy a branded cup or something. But yeah, the consumer that's going there, the customer that's going there, isn't probably having a great day most of the time, and having an on-site manager that understands that can help them kind of navigate which unit they want, sell them a U-Haul, just people who understand that generally when you're there, you don't want to be there for long, and you don't want to be there, period, really. Um, but as far as the management goes, and these thoughts kind of transcend asset classes. People say often you got to buy the deal right, and I get what that means, but I've also not really ever understood what that means. And you make your money when you buy, right? Yeah, okay, that's true. You got to buy it at a discount. You got to protect the downside. You got to lever it responsibly. But I think the money is made in management, and effective management. The goal of effective management, and really any real estate investment for that matter, the singular focus is to grow net operating income, right? Any deal that any of us buy or build, we are trying to grow NOI. And NOI is purely the gross revenue minus the expenses. And real estate trades on a multiple of that income stream, otherwise known as a cap rate. And growing NOI over time creates value. And when we first got in the business, we didn't know what we didn't know. We still don't know what we don't know, but we didn't know how to manage self-storage. We did single family, and we hired the REITs to manage our portfolio, the big REIT operators. And they certainly know what they're doing. They're big. They've got great technology platforms, great marketing. But big surprise, we found over time that third parties don't care about your deal as much as you do. Their operating expenses were bloated. They were solving more to physical occupancy than they were for revenue. And we got frustrated over time, and we formed our own management platform, just doing a little deal, two little deals, and kind of seeing how it went. And we learned the business, and then we started taking back our deals from the REITs and self-managing those. And management's a painful business. It's operationally intensive. There's a ton of employees, health benefits, payroll, HR. But our people are what create value in our portfolio, and those are our people within our management company. So that's why we self-manage, because we can control our destiny, and we're not waiting for an income statement to come out a month after the month closes from a larger third-party management company. We control that ourselves. And we pay attention to the little details, much more so, I think, than a third party would. We're fighting over HVAC expenses and snow removal and landscaping contracts, because every dollar in NOI that you save or that you create, I should say, is exponential value creation on the overall deal returns. So that's why we self-manage. It's an important part of the business, I think, and that's where the value is created. And we don't want to give the keys to the car for management to some third party.
Great. And yeah, and getting back to the main theme of the show, the vision for the future, Tell us how you're leveraging data analytics for smarter investment decisions.
Yeah, one of my partners is a software engineer by training, and he's built a couple cool tools that we've used for a long time. One of them is essentially a scraping software, and there's other, I think, paid, software as a service platforms that kind of do this, but we've got our own internal platform that does this. And pretty much what it does is it scrapes the asking rates for dozens of different unit types on thousands of facilities all over the country, multiple times a day. And it can help us not only make a more informed acquisition decision by normalizing the peaks and troughs of a given submarket, like in Detroit, obviously, winter rates are lower than they are in the summer because of the weather. Well, in the Southeast, they're not quite as pronounced. So we could normalize that revenue stream, see what the supply and demand curve is based on the seasonality of that submarket. But we can also make better decisions on managing our revenue post-acquisition. We can look real time at what competitor rates are on, say, a 10 by 10 climate controlled deal that's elevator accessed. And we can respond accordingly with what our competitors are doing within that submarket because we have that real-time data feed.
Well, let me ask you about the rents and the seasonality, because look, we all know that that's the case in multifamily, but people are only staying for a year or two, so that seasonality can be significant. But I believe your tenants are actually more sticky. You're talking about 3 years. So obviously, when you're renting in the winter in a northern climate, you're going to have lower rents. But are you actually seeing a good deal of fluctuation in the top line when most of your tenants are sticky? Or is
Yeah,
it more a matter of operations that when you come in, it's just a little harder to take over in the winter and raise the rents and get things moving?
it varies so much from market to market. So what you might so one big component of creating value in self-storage is gradually increasing rates on your existing customers. And we're not talking about big numbers here in general. An $80 tenant might go to $94 or something. So it's $14 a month. As a percentage, that's kind of heavy, but in dollars, it's not that much. So in markets that have more of a pronounced cold winter, we might be able to get away with rate increases during the colder months because people don't want to deal with moving, right? But we also might see a lack of new move-ins because people aren't moving as often. So it's really kind of sub-market by sub-market on how that seasonality affects our supply and demand curve and our revenue management. And you really can't understand that until you can look at the data. You might infer that Detroit is much better in the summer than it is in the winter. And that's true, but we've had plenty of winter months where we've seen pretty robust occupancy growth for whatever reason. So again, like any real estate deal, it varies by market on how we're viewing that and how we're responding to it.
Yeah, I love it. I can vouch for that. When we get a foot of snow, I don't think I want to move anything. But I guess with anything, we'll just have to wrap it up because this is very exciting. Would love to head into our most challenging series here, the 7. You ready, Jacob? You up for it?
Let her rip. We'll see how we do.
Okay,
here.
let's hit it. Let's hit it. If you could be known for only one thing, what would it be?
Well, the easy answer, is being a good father and a good husband, right? That's kind of an off the shelf one, but as it relates to my business, and my partners and I's business, I guess one theme that I'd like to be remembered for in business is being open, honest, and transparent. Giving our partners the good news, the bad news, telling them about good things that happen as quickly as we are about bad things that happen in our portfolio. And I think being transparent with people that why are you $100,000 that you've never met before? The need to do that is a foregone conclusion, right? And I hear about a lot of operators out there who are bad on reporting. I talked to one of our investors the other day. He's been with a shop for 3 years. He's never gotten an update on anything. It's pulling teeth for him to find out what's happening in the portfolio. So I think that open, honest transparency and just what's going on is important. And if I go underground tomorrow and on the business side, maybe people will think of us that way. But I'm hoping I can be around a little bit longer than that.
All right. What's the greatest lesson in leadership you've learned as an entrepreneur?
I would say taking out the trash. And by taking out the trash, I don't mean firing people that are underperforming. I mean, literally taking out the trash. If the trash can's full and you see it in the kitchen, you grab that bag and you put it in the dumpster yourself. Kind of leading from the rear, doing the things that business leaders might consider beneath them, just demonstrating to our team that we're in the trenches with them as much as they are. We're traveling to deals. We're soaking sweat through our polos in Florida in the summertime, doing unit walks and audits and meeting with our on-sites. But just being an active manager and doing things that beneath you, you might think are beneath you, I think is important, and just demonstrating that you're a team player. That's been an important aspect in learning about leadership, and we're still learning a lot about leadership. Many more lessons to go, and we'll never fully get there.
What personal characteristic has been most pivotal to your success?
I would say this is more of a in the weeds example, I think, but calendar management, blocking time for thought, for tasks, using scheduling automation when someone wants to talk to you, kind of encouraging them to pick up the phone anytime they want to talk to you. But hey, there's also the scheduling link here you can use to book a time so that we're not playing phone tag. But calendar management has been important. I even, this is stupid, I'm saying it anyway. I converted the clock on my computer display to now show seconds instead of just minutes. And I did it like 2 weeks ago, and that's been somewhat meaningful. Like when you know a 2:30 meeting's coming up and you're not rolling over and thinking, oh, it's 2:30, I got a minute, it rolls over to 2:31. It's stupid, but just seconds and minutes matter. And that time management thing has been important. And again, I have much to improve on there, but calendar blocking, using scheduling automation has been huge, because the only asset we all have is time, right? That's our greatest asset. No matter how rich or poor you are, we all have the same amount of time. And using that effectively is important to being successful.
Beautiful. All right, here. We got to switch it up a little bit. Take a nod to the randomness in the universe. Tell me when to stop cutting the deck. This is going to be a totally random question.
All right, cut it there.
All right, here we go. All right, top question is, what is the hardest thing you've ever done?
Are we gonna revolve this around business or personally or anything I want to do?
I think it's most fun and perhaps most beneficial just to open it up, wide open.
All right. Well, I guess physically challenging. Let me rattle this off here. I did my first half marathon. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, and I kind of just, frankly, I don't think I tried as hard as I could have. But when I got to mile 11, I couldn't believe that I had over 2 miles left. I was just like, I can't believe I have 2 miles left. I can't believe this. I run almost every day, but I don't run that far. So that was challenging. I've done a few mountains that were just like, you're limping back to your truck, when you get back to the trailhead here in Colorado. In business, though, I would say some of our biggest challenges and the hardest things that we've done have really been navigating late 22, 23, and kind of early 2024. Just what's going to happen, navigating the investor sentiment, capital raising has definitely improved, but it was really dismal last year. And we're finding not as many as we used to, but we're finding deals we like. And raising capital and educating investors on why they should invest in these deals was a major challenge. But we see that improving here. But I'm guessing my greatest challenges in life and business are still in the future. I don't think it gets easier. I think it gets harder. So we'll see what those might be.
What's one tip or trick that investors can implement in their business today?
So like an entrepreneur that owns their own business, or an investor
Sure.
that's considering investing in a
I mean,
deal.
it could be a lot of us have investment businesses in our audience. So investors, entrepreneurs, business leaders in general.
Yeah, I think this isn't necessarily a tip or trick, but empowering your team, giving autonomy to your team, I think is really important to success in a business. If it's a rigid organization and there's very small, narrow boxes and everyone lives in their box, it stifles creativity, it stifles self-actualization, and that employee's perception of their ability to grow within your organization or not. So I think empowering people and letting them kind of run with ideas and even fail on those ideas it is really important to growing an organization that can be successful and entrepreneurial and creative versus an organization that may not be.
Can you name a book that's helped to forge you as a leader or an entrepreneur, and tell us why?
I'm pretty bad at reading business books. I have a hard time getting through them. So most of my reading is limited to historic nonfiction. And it's typically about a leader who encountered adverse circumstances and how they navigated those. I'm currently reading, I don't read a lot of current events nonfiction, but I am reading one now. It's called Midnight in Moscow. And it's the ex-US ambassador to Russia's memoir on his experience being the Russian US ambassador in Moscow, I think starting in 2019. I'm only halfway through the book, but what he encountered there is just extraordinary. As he watched the Ukraine war unfold, being spied on by all the cronies over there. He probably had 6 or 7 spies that were on him full time anytime he went out to lunch or went to go get his coffee. Reading books about history and how leaders have kind of navigated trying circumstances in history is normally what I stick to. And that's my most recent one. Not done yet, but it's really good so far. I think it just got released like 3 days ago.
Excellent. And can you send us out with a quote to help forge our listeners as leaders and entrepreneurs?
Take a risk. Take a risk. A lot of us listen to podcasts and pay for seminars and classes, and we think a lot about making an investment in something, in this case, real estate. It's really easy to do nothing. It's really easy to just wait and wait and wait. And I'll tell you, there's never a perfect deal. And the home runs that we've hit over the years, we never dreamt they would have been as good as they turned out to be. We never would have dreamt that things might have happened the way they did. And the only way to learn in the investment landscape, in the investment space, and in real estate is to do a deal, whether that's buying your first single family rental, investing in a syndication or a fund. Again, our greatest asset is time, and building wealth in real estate takes a long time. It's a slow game. And if you're not in the game, you're missing out. So yeah, take a risk.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Well, let's wrap with this. Just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to reach out to you. So if you want to reach out to Jacob Vanderslice, email, website, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, what's the best way to do that?
We always love to talk about real estate. Folks can email me, jacob@vanwestpartners.com, go to our website, vanwestpartners.com, or hit me on LinkedIn.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with our audience today, Jacob.
Had a blast, George. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure.